Hello YouTube, you got me VGH here with the very first Palworld TCG tournament. This was using the Palworld TCG simulator. This tournament happened on July 18th, 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, and this tournament was the first look that we got into the actual game Palworld tournament series. Now, obviously, the game has yet to come out, and there are still rules that have yet to be put into place. We haven't learned everything there is to know about the game since there are still rulings that are still being added before the game actually comes out. There are still questions that have not been answered in its entirety as of yet. So, I do want to put that little preface before I go over this. But, I will still be able to show you guys the first top 3 decks from the very first tournament from the Palworld trading card game. Alright, so this was our third place player's deck, Correctamundo. He placed third place using a blue-red deck. Now, honestly, it seems that it has a lot less synergies than I originally thought, but after playing the tournament and seeing how the deck ran, I saw Crystal Breath being way stronger than I thought it originally was. I knew it was strong, but it's way stronger than I thought it was. If you could just... It stops your opponent from attacking, essentially, for 2 turns. So you can basically ignore an opponent's pal depending on what they do with it. Certain ones that are only like attackers or things that have no effects when they get discarded, let's say. You can just use that to block. Now, a lot of these cards, Foxparks is your early game. That's why he only ran 1 Foxparks Harness, because there's not a lot of things that get rid of the gear, and it's more of a bonus more than it is a win condition. So I only run a 1 of Foxparks Harness, where if you get it, you get it. If you don't, it doesn't matter that much. Now, a lot of these cards are utilization tools more than anything else. So we'll go over it with 4 Antique Mirrors. This, again, this is just in the deck as a 1-drop, draw 1 card. That's it. After that, it doesn't do anything. In a more structured Antique deck, it obviously has more value with the Antique, the 5-drop Antique card that states for each Antique you have on the board, you can return a card from your opponent's hand, to your opponent's hand. Otherwise, this just, there's no limit on structures. So, Antique Mirror is just a 1-drop, draw 1 card. Better than spending 3 souls to draw 1 card. You place down this guy, you get a free draw. Pretty good. Kativa, my first pal, is a 2-drop, 2 with 1 strike. 4 count of this because it has the continuous effect that it cannot be affected, can't be attacked by 3-drop pals or more. So it's just a good pal for early, mid, and late game because it's very hard to get rid of him if you can't block him or delete him by an ability. He just can keep poking for 1. Very good chip damage pal. Forward, we have Chillet as a 4 count in this list. Everyone's best little boy. Chillet says, look at the top card of your deck. If it's a dragon of 8 cost or lower, which if you look at the deck a little bit, you kind of got a lot of options. You have 10 dragons. A 5th of your deck is 8-drop or lower dragons, and you can cheat them out and play them for free. The reason why this is pretty solid is because of different cards that can stall out card gameplay mechanics, and it does also kind of give you that really good value. He's also a lucky, of course, so that's why you want to run him as a 4 count. That is, of course, not our only lucky. We can run up to 8. Crystal Breath, 2 count. Choose a pal. Oh, sorry. Choose a pal, gain -3 strike until the end of the turn. So you are able to pay to take no damage without having to discard a card or paying a single soul and throwing the card out. This does hurt your opponent's overall strike damage. Efaldrin as a 4-drop. This one is also very strong. I believe it is draw 2, choose 1 from your hand, and put it on the top of your deck. So they're off by 1 mana, but I guarantee you if there's a way to gain 1 mana, if there's a way to gain 1 soul, Efaldrin plus Chillet is just a disgusting combo. But if you don't need to play Chillet, or you don't need to use Chillet, or if you don't need to use Jormuntide, you're able to use Efaldrin to draw 2 and place a lucky on the top of your deck. If you don't have any more draw cards for the turn, you are basically guaranteeing a stop of damage, which makes it a very good card, especially because it's a 6-drop 9. 6-drop 9 is just strong as it is. We're going to go back to the Foxparks line, which is a 4-part Foxparks A Toasty Hug and a 4-part Foxparks Light of Courage. Both Foxparks have different abilities and different strike, different damage, and they just make good early game and mid game cards. So the 4-drop Foxparks is an interrupt, so you do have a good interrupt card. 4-drop 400, not bad. Again, Foxparks Harness gives it that big swing. Whenever this card swings, you can gain 300 damage, and you can target one of your opponent's pals and then remove it. Well, not remove it, but deal 700 damage to one of your opponent's pals, and that triggers before the attack. So you can actually deal 700 and then have Foxparks actually attack whatever it is that you're dealing 700 to. So you actually can get a big swing off a very small pal and only lose the pal. Foxparks Light of Courage is a brave effect, seeing as to whenever it attacks, it gains plus 300. So it is a 2-drop 200 that when it attacks, it is a 500. Very good for early game clear. And also, of course, you can still equip it with Foxparks Harness to get a good clearing play. Fuak as a 2-drop 4 count in the deck. Fuak is more of a defensive build type of character where it states it's a 2-drop 2, but instead of Foxparks' Brave, it has the ability that when it gets attacked, it gets plus 300. So it is more of the defensive, where you have Foxparks as the offensive. Jormuntide is also a wonderful card. It's a 8-drop Lucky with 4. In the deck, of course, because of the Efaldrin combo, you can use it to discard as a Lucky, and or if you can get lucky, Chill It is also still a playable option that you can end up hitting Jormuntide and getting to cheat it out for free. The reason Jormuntide is also kind of crazy is because it does have that really powerful ability of discard to stand. It's action once per turn, so you can only do it once. But if you have it, you are able to strike 1700 power, 4 strike, and then discard 2, stand it, and then do it again. So you can technically strike for 8 in one round. Obviously, higher strike counts mean a higher percent chance you end up hitting a lucky, which negates all the damage, but still, striking 8 cards out of your opponent's deck is kind of disgusting. Especially that's why he runs things like Antique Mirror to draw more stuff. So, and Efaldrin to get more cards in hand to basically abuse the Jormuntide late. Makeshift Handgun just being another early game card. It's a 2-drop. 4 count in the deck that does state when it gets deployed, it deals 500. So you can use it early, mid, or late game. Early game can destroy something. Mid game can weaken something. Late game can weaken something. That way you can get to the damage you're looking for in order to get those KOs. Makeshift Handgun also does state that after it's been used as a deploy piece, you can use it, put it in the rest stage, give one of your pals plus 200 damage, which could make something just go a little bit over an opponent's character and actually get knockouts where it normally would not have. Pretty good assistive piece. Pengullet, Yearning for the Sky, just states that when it gets knocked out, draw a card. So it is a pretty solid card as a 4-drop 6, especially because you start with 2 mana if you go first. Your second turn can be playing a Pengullet. So that way you basically have a 4-drop 6 that if it gets knocked out, you still gain value of drawing more cards. So it does really do well in a lot of decks. Almost every deck is playing it right. Raindrix has a 2 cost, just another disrupt. So obviously it doesn't need to be super big in the deck, but it is a very good card to have as a hand disruption. To stop your opponent from attacking. You have 6 hand disrupts in this deck, it looks like. Then we have 2 of the Relaxosaurus, the Hungry Gunner. Relaxosaurus is on, I believe it's on play or on deploy. No, Relaxosaurus is on deploy. So if you played it off of the effect of Chill It, if you play it from your hand, you actually can choose one of your opponent's pals that has 6 costs or less specifically. 6 costs or less pals and rest it. That card stays rested until Relaxosaurus leaves the field. So even when Relaxosaurus does leave the field, though, it has to wait until your opponent's stand phase in order for it to stand back up. It doesn't just stand up immediately. You still have to wait for a stand phase. So it is able to stop your opponent from blocking with a 6 to go in for game. He is still a mighty strike 3, so it's, rest your opponent's pal, go in phase, go game. Last but not least, 3 cost, single shot rifle. Single shot rifle does state, choose one pal, deal 1500 damage, and then, of course, later, every turn, you can tap it to give one of your pals plus 200. Very good for that bonus plus 200. He's got a lot of options for plus 200. Foxparks Harness, single shot rifles, makeshift handgun, all of them can gain bonuses. But they're also very good on play. This is our 3rd place list. We're going to go to the 2nd place list right away. 2nd place is a blue deck. I honestly expected this from blue. Blue is very, very strong, at least in my opinion anyway. We're starting once again with the Antique Mirror, which is just an easy 1-drop, draw 1 card, very strong. Azarobe is our next one, another 4 count. It says, on deploy, draw a card, choose 1 pal, and rest it. First of all, lucky pal, so always good, and they always usually have stronger abilities. You can only maximum have 8 of them in the deck. So obviously on deploy, you get to draw 1, and then you choose one of your opponent's pals and rest. Well, actually, technically it says choose 1 pal. You can choose your own, I guess. but I don't know when you would decide to do that, but you can if you want to. We got Cryolinks up next, the Arctic Ordeal, who's the 6-drop 900 interrupts. This is basically in every single deck. It has its own 6-drop 900 that has interrupt, so not terrible, but you have to have it. Next up is our Grappling Gun. Rest this card, choose one pal, it gets plus 200, and the skill until end of turn, Vigilance. And that means at the end of your turn, you can stand this card. So good for strong pals, like what we're going up to next, Lylene Knock. So Lylene Knock states that you can actually rest this card, discard a card from your hand, choose a 6-drop or less pal from your graveyard, deploy it in the rested state. Now, it doesn't state it has to be dark. It doesn't state it has to be, any specific color, even but as an 8-drop, 3 count in the deck, 1700 damage with 3 strike, Grappling Gun can make it 1900 at the end of the turn. You attack, you're able to get in a big swing, and Grappling Gun can make it stand at the end of the turn, so you have a big blocker with 1700, or 19 as an attacker with Grappling Gun. Or when you use Lylene's effect, you can actually bring out a Menacing, let's say, from your discard pile, which is why this is nifty, and then use the Grappling Gun on the Menacing. Yes, you get the 200, and you get the Vigilance ability, so you won't be able to attack with it because it comes in rested, but upon unresting it, Menacing has an amazing ability. 5-drop, lucky, by the way, 4 count in the deck, has the ability that when your opponent attacks, if this pal attacks, back, like if you block with it, if it gets knocked out in battle, the attacking pal also gets knocked out in battle. So you're able to use the Grappling Gun to basically have a pal stand when it normally would not have been able to stand, like Menacing, to make it a blocker that can stop bigger pals. So Lylene will become, tapped in the rested state, so your opponent could attack it, but you also now have Menacing blocking it, which allows you to basically slow the game down a bit and build up your board. Now, this is where the Pangolin engine comes in. Pangolin, 3 cost, 500, no ability, 4 count. Pangolin, 4 drop with the ability when it gets discarded, sent to the graveyard, draw 1 card. Another 4 drop, 4 count with 600. 3 Pangolin rocket launchers. Now, the Pangolin rocket launcher is a very powerful card, to say the very least. It says, action. Rest this card, choose a pal, it gets plus 200 until the end of the turn. If its main name is Pangolin, instead it gets plus 500, and the skill, until the end of turn, action. Rest this card, choose all of your opponent's pals, and they get X damage equal to the damage of Pangolin. Put this card into the graveyard. So the idea is, obviously, you can bring out a Pangolin, whether it be the 5 or the 600 one, use a rocket launcher, give it plus 500, and then use the ability to delete your own Pangolin and deal 1,000 or 1,100 damage to all of your opponent's pals. But it also just doesn't stop there. Pen King, 4 count, 600 attack, but its only ability is that your main named Pangolin pals get plus 700. So if you put down the 500 attack point Pangolin Frequent Flyer, the 3-drop, it becomes a 12-drop. You don't even need to use any abilities. A 3-drop that's 1200 power is already too strong as it is. But if you also give it the boost, the Pangolin Rocket Launcher, you're making your 500 gain an extra 500 from the Rocket Launcher, 700 from the Pen King, so now you have a 1700 that has the ability of the Pangolin Rocket Launcher, where you can just delete your own penguin and deal 1700 to all of your opponent's pals. Now, this does only attack pals, not structures, and if your pal is in a structure, it can still target the pal and not the structure. That's just for those of you guys wondering how that works. Raindrix is a 5 cost, 600, but it is a 4 count in the deck because it does have Interrupt. Your other interruption card is very, very good here. The Adventure Begins. Now, this is kind of a mulligan card. The Adventure Begins states 2-drop. If you haven't played any other cards this game, draw 2 cards. So if you go first, you have 2 mana, you can play the Adventure Begins on your turn 1 to draw 2 extra cards. Not bad. Usually very, very good in a game like this where you need more to draw into. And of course, if you go second, same thing. You still have 1 mana left over. You draw 2 cards. You may be able to hit some interrupt, but it also helps you set up for the remainder of the game. Then we have our strategy cards. We have 6 total strategy cards, 3 in Victor's and 3 in Zoe's. Victor's strategy does state, choose one of the following. Look at the top 5 cards of your deck, choose a card from them, and add it to your hand, and shuffle the rest into your deck. Second effect, choose 1 pal, return it to the hand. Third effect, choose X amount of cards equal to the number of your structures and draw. So this deck does not have a billion structures. It does only have the 4 antique mirrors, but apparently if you have all 4 of them, you are able to just use this card, draw 4. Not bad. But it's most likely going to be used for one of the first 2 abilities. If you don't have too many cards in your hand, you can use Victor's strategy and help build up your hand with a better card, or choose a pal and return it to the hand to get something big out of the way, so that way you can go in and attack or gain, or at least stop certain abilities. Then we got Zoe's strategy. Choose up to 5 of the opponent's logs or fruit in total, and you can destroy them. Very rare we're ever using that effect, but it's usually used for the other 2 effects, which is choose 1 pal from your graveyard, return it to your hand. Your opponent chooses 1 card from their hand and discards it. So you can do a little bit of hand disruption there. Again, it's not super good because it doesn't really work with this deck in terms of hand disrupting, but you can still use it to return, say, a lucky pal from your discard pile into your hand. And then you have things like Alphaladrin, which says draw 2, place a lucky pal that you may have just put back into your hand on the top of your deck. And now you have a really cool setup to gain extra protection. The last option does say choose one of your pals, butcher it. If you butchered 1 or more cards this way, choose one of your opponent's pals and put it into the graveyard. So you have options for, say, your weaker pals like Pangolin if you wanted to, and you don't have the combo maybe. You can use weaker pals to get rid of things in order to gain value. You can use your Pangolin Yearning for the Sky, butcher that, you draw a card, your opponent has to lose 1 pal, even if it's big, you can just get rid of it very easily. Obviously, you don't really need to use it that much. Zoe's strategy can be more so used to gain those luckies back into your hand to put them back on the top of the deck, and then still remove a card from your opponent's hand, because you really have that board clear with the Pangolin combo to Rocket Launcher, and or just big Pangolin go punch. So deck is very, very strong. I honestly believe that Penguin is probably going to be one of the better decks, if not one of the best decks of the 4. The first place list going in a perfect 4-0 in our event. Morpheo 134 with fire, water, red, blue, dragon. Honestly, this looks like a mishmash of things that I would not expect to work. But he proved it. It worked. Now, we're starting off with Axel's strategy. Axel is a 4 count in the deck. Axel's strategy stating that you can choose 1 pal, deal 1,500 damage to it. Strong as it is, you know, 4 count 15, not bad. Choose up to X pals and stand them. X is equal to the number of gears you have active. Now, we do have a couple of gears. Gears are the cards like the pump action shotgun and the single shot rifle. We do have a total of 6 gears in this deck. Doesn't mean we're going to get them all every single time. No, but realistically, 3 gears will probably be more than enough to pick up your entire board. So you can go big swing, use Axel's strategy, pick up your whole board, big swing again. Or the last one says choose all of your opponent's 5 or greater pals, and they cannot block until the end of the turn. Yeah, so you have multiple different options to do big swing / big swing, and we're going to get into other cards in the deck that can combo off of that. Once again, very good card. That's why it's a 4 count. Now, Azarobe is our lucky pal of the deck. Once again, Azarobe very, very strong. 6-drop that says on deployed. Draw 1, choose 1 pal, and rest it. Again, it's a 6-drop 12, all right? 6-drop 12, like there's, hand disrupt versions are 6-drop 9. 6-drop 12 is huge. And it has the ability to rest one of your opponent's pals. So you can literally play this into the game, rest one of your opponent's pals, and swing into it with Azarobe to get rid of something that's probably pretty big, and still draw a card off of it. Very strong lucky pal. And that's the reason we run a couple of them. I mean, it's not maxed out in terms of lucky. It is only a 2 in the deck, but it's pretty good regardless. Next, we have our Blaze Howl, the Hell Flame Defender. It is our 4 count in the deck. It is still a 7-drop 1200, making it strong with 3 strike, but it has the interrupt ability, so you're able to use it to discard and save yourself from damage. But 7/12 still strong, so it can be used as a finisher. Doesn't combo off with Axel's strategy because it's a 7-drop, but it's still strong as it is. Now, this card is definitely not seen as much, but Celeray Loop de Loop says auto on attack, draw 1, choose 1 card from your hand and discard it. So, a 3-drop 4 with 400 is a little strange. It does allow you to loop through cards that if you don't need them or can combo with them later or think they're not worth it in the game that you have, you can still loop your deck. So it's not like it's awful. It's just not something that I would think about. So, I mean, he may have used that as a, to confuse our opponent. 3-drop 400 is very strong. Next up, Chill It, of course. Again, Lucky Pal. We're running 4 of them. 5-drop 900. That does state, look at the top card of your deck. If it is a dragon that is under 8-drop, an 8-drop or less, sorry, you can summon it for free. And this is where it becomes very fun because we do have 2 Azarobes. We have 4 Efaldrins, 4 more Efaldrins, 2 more Jormuntides, and technically 4 Chillets. Adding all of that together, we have 18 total dragons. Obviously, if you play the first Chillet, you have 17 remaining in the deck or whoever, wherever they are. 17 total cards remaining that have a free summon effect off of Chillet. But you're also playing things like Efaldrin, which says on deploy, look at the top 2 draw the top 2 cards of your deck and put 1 on the top. So you can also then put Lucky Pals back on the top. And you can continue to keep going and looping these things to cheat out big dinosaur monsters with no problems. Chillet is definitely strong. And it can swing a game in your favor very easily by just playing 1 card. Next, we have Cryolinks. We have a 6-drop 900. There's only 2 of these in the deck, but it is another Disrupt, which is very nifty. Next up is Efaldrin, the Gentle Radiance. This is the neutral version of Efaldrin. That is a 4-drop 600 that when it attacks, you can reveal 1 card from your hand, and if you reveal a dragon, you can gain plus 500 until the end of the turn. So it is a 4-drop that can swing for up to 11. Unfortunately, when it blocks, you cannot have the same effect, so it is just a 600 blocker, but it is a good swing pal. Next up, Efaldrin Aqua, the Gentle Ripples. Water dragon version of this, but it is still a dragon. 6-drop, 900, look at the top 2. I have said it like 6 times. Put 1 on the top of the deck. Combos off with Lucky Pals, so that way you can keep yourself safe. I assume that this is just for the early game, the 2-drop 200 4-count Foxparks Light of Courage, which has the Brave on attack plus 300. So you can use it maybe turn 1, turn 2, just to swing in for damage and just clear smaller pals off the board. Next up, Jormuntide. Jormuntide says on deploy, draw 1 card, choose 1 7 or less pal and rest it. This card does not stand during your opponent's next stand phase. It's not as good as the Fire one, in my opinion, because the Fire one can still hit 17 for strike and can stand itself back up. But stopping your opponent from using a pal for multiple turns is disgusting. There are very few cards that can get around the ability from this, is like Jormuntide can stop your opponent, making it so the pal can't stand during your opponent's next stand phase. But Suzaku Aqua does have an ability that is very strong. It says Vigilance. Again, if we went over the grappling hook card, that it states at the end of your turn, stand this card, and Jormuntide only states during your opponent's next stand phase. So if it has Vigilance, it does get around that ability, but very rarely will that ever happen. But Jormuntide being an 8-drop 16 lucky, with its ability to force your opponent to be unable to stand one of their pals, basically allowing you to get through and going for free attacks. And it still hits that dragon typing 8-drop or less for Chillet. Could swing a game in your favor, 1 huge move at a time. 2-count of the Panglet Yearning for the Sky, which allows you to draw a card on discard when it gets destroyed. 4 pump action shotguns, which is crazy to say the very least. The pump action shotgun is a 7-drop that says choose all your opponent's pals, deal 1200 damage, and then every other turn you can just give plus 200. It's a 7-drop that just blows your opponent's like every pal away. And then you just have to use bigger pals to deal with their bigger pals. But 1200 damage is already a big point. And then if you can use Foxparks as a 2-cost that swings for 5, you can swing for one of those bigger pals that has like 1600 and you can actually swing over it. So pretty good. Range as a 4-cost is another Hand Disrupt. 2-count of Single Shot Rifle, which Single Shot Rifle does again says choose a pal, deal 1500 damage. So you can target 1500 to take a shot. And finally, Victor's Strategy, which we have gone already over, but I will go over it once again for the strategy of this deck. It says look at the top 5 cards of your deck, choose 1 card from among them, add that card to your hand, shuffle the rest of the cards into your deck. It combos off with other cards because it's a 3-drop. You can use it with a Efaldrin to basically play that first, look at the top 5, choose any of those cards, and put that one in your hand. So hey, you want to take a lucky, you put the lucky in your hand. But you are then you know, you can play your Efaldrin Aqua and then be able to draw 2 and then put that Lucky that you just added to your hand by looking back on the top of your deck. You are now safe for the next turn, and you have an Efaldrin that's able to be played along with all of your other boosts. Next up, you can also choose 1 PAL and return it to the hand, or draw X cards equal to the number of your structures. But we have no structures in this deck, so it will not do anything on that last one. So it's either a look at the top 5, add 1 to hand, or a remove one of your opponent's bigger problems by putting that card back into your opponent's hand. So, I mean, realistically, I think this deck feels more comfortable for me because I like more straight-lined decks. This is just like a 4 count or 3 count of every single card in the deck, so it makes it very small. This one seems a bit more control-oriented and more about like setting yourself up for the future turns, which is more calculating, I guess. So I can see good value in both of these decks. We got red, blue, we got blue, purple, and we got red, blue. It seems as though blue, obviously, is just going to be one of the most dominating factors in most of Palworld.